Hello, everybody. This is Random Chatter's review show. We are doing this as episode number 349. We're going to be covering the Tomorrow War, amongst other stuff. We've got a few things here that each of us are going to talk about, but I think we've all seen the Tomorrow War, so that'll be our big thing. I think you guys have been a little bit happier with the movie than I was, but we'll get into that in a few minutes here. So tonight we got Tim and Eric here with me tonight. How are you guys doing? Tim, how are you?
Doing pretty decent. And yes, I enjoyed the Tomorrow War, Lou.
I enjoyed it as well. We'll get there. And Eric, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be back here on the air after the holiday weekend. And
I know it's been a while. We haven't had all this together
the last
in a while.
3 or 4 weeks.
Our schedule's been kind of weird.
My son was visiting for 3 weeks, and then last weekend,
that's right,
I got to go visit our remote Random Chatter headquarters. Yeah, I got to spend the holiday weekend with Tim and Robin, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to drop by again maybe like Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, that's fine.
Huh?
That's fine.
Okay.
We should be here.
Awesome.
If not, I'll leave a key under the doormat.
Oh, I'll just go in through a window.
I wouldn't.
It'd be fine.
I wouldn't do that, Tim.
Actually, we should just throw a party. Tell you what, I'll post his address, and everybody out there, if you guys want to show up, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Now, bring drinks. I mean, don't be a jerk about it. Bring an appetizer, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have that address down in the show notes below. So.
Oh, good.
Awesome. Good. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it's in Canada, I think.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Sounds like.
Oh,
a
yeah.
good time.
Bring a 2-4 down
so.
from up in Ontario, eh? Oh, yeah, it'd be a good time.
Oh boy.
Well, let's get right into this. So Tomorrow War is a Amazon Prime movie, I think, right?
Oh yeah, I could do the whole episode here in
track of where
Canadian accent there for you, Lou, if that'd help, huh?
Could
oh
you?
yeah, I know all about
distracting
Canadian
at all.
accents.
That would be not distracting.
Oh yeah,
let's do that. So if he digresses and gets back to his American accent, we can drop him from the call, right, Tim?
Yes, absolutely.
No pressure, Eric. So tomorrow, who's got this up on IMDb? Who's got the details about this?
Why would you need to look it up on IMDb, Lou? It's
because it's new.
It was so good. It should be right on.
Okay,
so it's got Chris Pratt from the Jurassic World movies and from a little thing called Guardians of the Galaxy, which then had a little spin-off movie, like a little, like not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy, but like a little thing, Infinity something, and a game end thing, which apparently did pretty well. It's also got Ivan Stravinsky, one of those names that you can't pronounce.
From Chuck.
From Chuck, and from Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, some of the best video games in the world. What do you need IMDb for, Lou?
I know.
You this movie, like you absorb things about it because it's awesome.
So it was released in 2021.
2021. Like even recently, I know your memory's the first thing to go, or so they say. I wouldn't know.
So who wrote it?
See, and he's already, Lou, you're not that, we keep trying to tell you, you're not that old. I know it's not worth, but like positive affirmations are supposed to help you overcome reality. So you're not that old, Lou.
No, I'm not.
See, you can remember.
I don't look as old as you were, Tim. So
well, that's the truth. I got to start dyeing my beard. You see this? People not watching in YouTube. You need to be watching in randomchatter.com/YouTube.
And mine's not. Mine's beautiful. See, red, which is weird.
I got a gray hair right there. I don't know if you can see it on this camera. Gray. There's a gray hair right there.
You got just a few more than just one. Yeah,
just one.
Just want to point
Well,
that
he
out.
needed friends.
So Tim, give us the quick elevator pitch as to what this movie is.
Now, I want to say, spoiler free, and we're going to be covering this on Movie Chatter this week on Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to keep it general.
So the quick and dirty of this is that there is a war in the future. It's what they call the Tomorrow War. So what, 27 some odd years or something in the future, and they happen to have some technology that they can travel back in time. And so then they are recruiting people in, quote, our time to go forward through this time portal to help fight this war against these aliens. And that is fundamentally the whole premise of this. We obviously see some, cool technology things. We see alien things. We see a devastated world. We see imperfect technology, which is something that I really like. You see a lot of movies where like, oh, technology always works and it's always perfect.
Right.
And,
Yeah. No, Microsoft clearly wrote the operating system for the system they used.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong. And it's like, oh, now we got to recover from that. Yeah.
So, I like that they show like some of these glitches in it, and they even talk about the imperfections of it. Like, hey, we built this thing pretty hastily. It has limitations. It can only, do this point to this point. And we really didn't get a chance to like try it out a lot before we did this whole thing. And we're moving tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of people into the future to fight this war. So stuff might happen. You don't know.
Exactly.
So there's also, I'm going to throw in a little bit too, because this kind of has to do with my general opinion of the movie. Building on the description that Tim gave, there are some interesting thematic elements that they explore. For example, how do they choose who gets sent forward? How do those people cope with being sent forward? How do the people who are left behind cope with the fact that by all reports we lose? Like this is a last minute desperate Hail Mary pass sort of effort that even the people recruiting people don't think it's going to work. What's the point?
Right.
Like you've got kids in a high school classroom saying like, why am I doing homework?
Why should we care? Yeah.
We're going to die.
And you even got people going into the future where, she's like asking questions of what's going on here. And she gives the answer. She goes, okay, next time, just lie to us.
Right.
I don't want to know that. It's that bad.
I mean, you're going to die anyway. Find out then. Don't sit there and have to dwell on it in the last day or two of your life. So speaking of which.
And the tour of duty is
exactly.
7
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
Which is like a really fascinating thing. And it's basically they're just trying to surge forces in to accomplish certain missions. And if you live your 7 days, you are automatically transported back.
Which I think is also, they kind of hint that has to do with the technology a little bit as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting that, so like real world things that we deal with here during war, where you have injured veterans and that kind of stuff, they're doing there, and it's in the context of these different time periods. So we are putting forward our population, our civilian population. So this isn't just soldiers that were going. They ended up drafting. So it's a civilian population with very, very little training, gets sent forward to fight. So that's a burden on the current time. And then those that come back, of those that survive, you have people who are severely injured, missing limbs, that kind of stuff, major PTSD, that kind of thing. So you then have that burden amplified on the current time.
And there's only about a 20% survival rate coming back too.
Future. Yeah.
Right.
So like
and
really,
the main character's
really
wife
deep concepts.
Is doing some of this
she's a therapist
counseling
or something.
For the people coming back. And it's like they mentioned, I think there was something mentioned about how few of them talk about it. They can't even describe anything going on. It's like,
yes.
So this is really, really bad. And this is all before you even get to see what's going on. And it just makes you feel a huge sense of dread and anticipation of what you're going to see when this thing goes forward.
So again, without getting into spoilers and stuff, I think the world building in this, like the whole setup in the first act, and this movie almost has like 4 acts even. I think so. Tim, it might have been you who said that in Discord.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because the movie, and I will say this without spoiling it, the movie gets to a point where you think that everything is largely resolved and the movie is over with. Like I was like mentally, I was like, yeah, okay. They did this thing. They had the They had the first act where it set everything up. They had the second act where it was the major part of the conflict. You had your third act that resolved things.
And there's more.
Wait a minute. There's like not like another 10 minutes. Like there's another half hour to the movie. Half hour, 40 minutes where it's like, wow, they did a thing that is usually just kind of assumed that this particular problem was solved when you watch a lot of movies.
But it didn't feel like a cheat or anything. Like it flowed.
No, not at all. But it truly was. It was a 4-act movie, like legit. And like, you don't see that. And I was fascinated.
And I think it worked well. There's a reason that they stick with 3 acts, and it's because it works in human psychology and in how we react to storytelling. It facilitates the storytelling more easily. Trying to do 4 acts is actually weird. Like it can be a little tricky to pull off. And not only did they pull it off, it fit the story. The story kind of needed the 4 acts. And between the world building, the acting and the characters, I'm getting to the point where I care less and less about special effects because I think we've been spoiled, but the special effects were good. The production quality was great. And the concepts and the themes that were introduced, it was very much the type of movie where it could have just been yet another action movie. And instead, they had meaningful moments between characters. They had meaningful character development. And you became invested in the characters. You became invested in what was going on. You became invested in the results and how it would affect the world. And we saw a lot of things either that we haven't seen before or what we have seen before we saw handled in a different way. And I think that sums up why I liked this movie so much. It wasn't like amazing. It wasn't brilliant, but it was solidly really, really good. And I didn't figure out, like there are some parts that are kind of like predictable generally. But so. The specifics I don't think were necessarily predictable. And you never really felt like, it wasn't like a plot twist heavy movie or anything, but you never really saw everything that was coming before it happened. And I don't know, it was just a really solid movie. There wasn't any one thing about it that was incredible, but everything about it was above average.
The aliens were freaking terrifying. They were like, gosh,
that one
from Star Wars, the aliens that Han and Chewie were transporting in
Rathars.
Yeah, kind of something like a Rathtar that like.
Kind of like a cross between a Rathtar and a Demigorgon, or the things from A Quiet Place.
Right. Yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah, like
the thing that made it even scarier, though, Tim, was that there was all that, and I don't want to give it away because it's a good plot point coming forward in the movie, but you saw the carnage and the aftermath of the attacks before we even saw the aliens, and you're like, what the hell did that? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want to see this thing. It made you again more apprehensive before it actually came around. You're like, oh, that's gonna be bad when this thing appears.
So we need to move on to the other stuff, but I want to know, Lou, again, we got to save the gold for movie chatter here, but
sure.
Why did you kind of feel?
I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was fantastic. And I think part of it was because it made me feel a lot like, I mentioned this the other night when we were talking, I was talking with Tim, it made me remember a lot and felt like the Tom Cruise movie, Live, Die, Repeat.
Okay.
Because of the thing they had going on with the aliens and the way they, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But there was that aspect of what their mission was, made me feel like what was going on in that movie towards the end. And I was like, well, it's kind of a rehash. It's not quite, but it got better at the end too. And that was.
And there's some similarity. I can understand what you're saying there, even though it wasn't like that. Like if you died in your 7 days, you were dead.
Right.
You weren't going back. But because there was this like people just could go back. Hey, if I hit and I lived my 7 days, boom, I go back home.
I think what I'm talking about more about was the aliens themselves.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A bit reminiscent of what the aliens were in Live, Die, Repeat, but not a huge deal. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good movie overall. But at first when I'm hearing Tim gushing about this thing is amazing, I'm like, well, it's not amazing, but
okay,
it's pretty amazing.
I think it'll be an interesting discussion on Movie Chatter.
Sure.
And we also have to talk Black Widow on Movie Chatter. And by the way, we're not talking Black Widow on this episode because we are about to very shortly on episode 350 of Random Chatter, which we are recording immediately after this one. So stay tuned. We're going to get to it.
So as far as other stuff, I don't have a lot of other stuff besides one little thing. Disney also came out with they had the big release of Black Widow, Premier Access this weekend, but they had a little thing that came out too called Monsters at Work. I almost said Men at Work. Sorry. Monsters at Work, which is the TV series that goes along with the Monsters Inc. Movies.
Mm-hmm.
I've been interested in seeing this, Lou. What did you think?
I've only seen the first episode.
I've seen the first two.
Okay.
I'm a big Monsters Inc. fan. So, I'm already inclined to like it. I think I've got to get used to the characters and kind of get into it, though. The first episode kind of set things up, where things are going to go. And now I'm hoping it's going to improve from where it is. The first episode didn't really hook me if I wasn't already a fan. But I think it's worth staying with, and I'm definitely gonna keep going with the series. So
cool.
So a correction,
you've seen 2
No,
episodes?
I think I've seen 1.5.
Okay.
And I'll continue with it mainly out of curiosity, though. It doesn't focus on Mike and Sully.
No.
They are in the first episode, but it focuses on there's a new primary character and a group of coworkers that he is adapting to. I didn't care for it.
Okay.
The character was okay. Every single one of the other characters I wanted to lock in a vault somewhere for about I'd have to look up how long it takes those monsters to suffocate, but I'm going to say maybe like a week, and then we can open it up and
ouch.
I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I feel like
the characters the show isn't that bad.
Grow on me more.
Yeah. The show isn't that bad, and it probably will grow on me. But like the characters that the new employee is subjected to are supposed to be annoying, right? And that's kind of the comedic aspect of it. They're really annoying. They're like really freaking annoying. They succeeded like way too much. Way too much. So it's got potential.
From a good standpoint, this picks up right where the movie's left off.
Yeah, like the next day.
It's like that transition between what happened. I guess we can spoil the movies because they've been out for years now. But
so they're no longer scaring kids.
Right now it's
right. They go from scaring to laughter. Right, and this is the transition. And the main character gets his appointment to go to Monsters Inc. And then everything changed between when he got there. So he's like, going, what? I'm here to, we're not doing it anymore. So
you've got other monsters like in the lobby talking to each other. Like, do we have a job now? We're not scaring kids. Are we unemployed? Right. Like it's like the next morning.
So it's a good transition. I think it's going to actually explain what happens with this going forward now. And they've obviously, redone the entire organization because the old CEO is in prison now. And, but it's good. I think it's going to have to take a couple episodes to get into it so we know the story. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle it.
I will say it can become good, but it's not so far. But it could become that.
Okay, fair enough. But that's all I have for the new stuff for me. Okay. Tim, where are you at? What have you been seeing lately?
So gonna talk about this. Well, I'm probably not gonna talk about it really any more on Guardians than I'm gonna talk about it here because there's not much to talk about. Paralleling Loki, over on Disney Plus, and because now Disney owns The Simpsons, they release a thing called The Good, the Bart, and the Loki.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw the ad for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a spoof of, Loki being in the world of The Simpsons. And pretty much, Lou, the ad that you saw, that's it.
Oh, really?
I expected this to be an episode. Yeah, it's not. Now, there are things that continue on in the credits, like not even like mid and post credit scenes. Like they're just things going on during.
If you
the credits,
saw The Force Awakens from its nap,
but
this is the Marvel version,
right? Okay,
except I think shorter.
Yep.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was fine for what it was, but yeah, I didn't realize it was a short. So, like, it did its thing. We got 2 minutes into it. I'm like, oh, that's it. Okay, like they could have done something with it, and they didn't. So,
yeah.
And then the only other notable thing, and I mean, there's a bunch of things that we saw, but there are things that we've seen, several times before. Was the movie Sisters. This came out in 2015, and I had not seen this before. It's a Tina Fey, Amy Poehler movie. Really good, really funny. It's basically a house party type of movie that, like, their childhood home that they grew up in is going to be sold, and these two sisters who have kind of gone into life and doing their things, and now they kind of want to relive, this aspect of like high school one more time. So they throw this party, invites to all the people that they went to high school with, and hilarity ensues. And it's a good movie. I mean, I really enjoy Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, especially together. And I thought it was a fun movie. I mean, it's not anything outstanding, but it was fun. It was entertaining. I liked it.
Okay.
All right.
Eric,
I have two brand new releases that I know people want to know about. Well, at least one of them. And I'm very excited about one.
It's not like Cannibal the Musical Part 2, is it?
Did they announce that? Is that coming out?
Lord.
No, Lou, you gotta tell me, dude. Is it? Are Trey Parker and Matt Stone doing Cannibal 2?
No.
The musical, or is it Cannibal the Musical 2? Like however they title it, I don't care.
Hey, Lou, if you right click over Eric's video, you get a thing that says drop from call.
Yep, except I'm still running the stream, mofos. So on that note,
we'll drop off. He'll still be on talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not good. We can't
win-win
subject our listeners to that.
So I got to see The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. So this is a sequel to The Hitman's Bodyguard, starring Ryan Reynolds as a professional bodyguard and Samuel L. Jackson as a professional assassin who is now going to testify against a corrupt world leader, and Ryan Reynolds has to keep him alive long enough to testify. So that's the first movie. And Samuel Jackson's character is married to someone who I believe she was in prison for the first movie, played by, why am I blanking on the name? Selma Hayek. Thank you. Can't believe I blanked on her name. So in this one, Selma Hayek hires Ryan Reynolds to help find her husband, and then the three of them kind of travel through the movie together. The first one I'd skipped because I heard a lot of people say, it's not all that great. And then Tim saw it, and Tim insisted it was really good. So I thought I'd give it a try. And it was really good. Like, it was, I don't know, really good. It was good. Yeah, I'd say it was really good. It was fun. The dynamic between Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson was really good. It was a fun movie. A lot of good humor in it, with also some good action scenes and stuff. I liked it. So
what I would have appreciated more of, though, in the first movie was more of Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson and more of Ryan Reynolds being Ryan
Don't
Reynolds.
see the second one.
Because I almost think that they were kind of constrained by the writing. Because when you think about like the almost kind of, you know, stereotypical characters that those two actors play, and then mashing them together is just this huge thing of awesomeness. And yeah, you're right, Eric. The first movie, it was good, but I wanted more of those two
if
actors.
you watch the second one, Tim, you will love, I mean, you will absolutely fall in love with how unrestricted they were in the first movie. It will change that movie for you. You will love it on a level you didn't think was possible.
That's too bad. That's
the second one. I dare say I could have written it better than what they did. Yeah. I wouldn't have written that. Like if I had written that, I wouldn't have submitted it to anybody. Like it was just, and it's not that there was anything about it that was like, quote, bad. It just wasn't good. Like it didn't even suck enough to be notable. I can't even make fun of it. Like it didn't even suck enough to make fun of. It's just so solidly right there in the middle that like none of the humor was funny. I shouldn't say, well, almost none of the humor was funny. It was like everything about it was trying too hard. That's what it boils down to. The humor, it was trying too hard. The action scenes, they were trying too hard. The plot, they were trying too hard. There was just nothing good about it. Not a thing. Even if they had just rehashed the first one, which it kind of felt like that's what they were trying to do, that would have been okay. But they captured none of the humor of the first one. They captured none of the intrapersonal dynamics of the characters in the first one. They captured none of that.
I mean, let's face it. We all want Nick Fury and Deadpool in the same movie.
We may get that.
That is ultimately what I think everyone wants. And if someone says that they don't want it,
they're liars.
They need to go eat some contaminated meat or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tell you what, after watching this movie, it would almost make you never want to see Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson in a movie together again. I felt like the chemistry was that mediocre, and I don't think it was their fault. I mean, we all know they're both great actors.
Yeah.
It was just the writing. It was the right. Even the directing was fine. The writing, I don't know who wrote it, and I don't mean to be mean. I really don't. I feel bad like just tearing someone apart because I don't like that. This movie was badly written, so don't see it. Now, the other thing I want to get to though, there was a TV show that ran from 2008 to 2012 called Leverage.
Excellent show.
So good. It was on TNT. And you would have thought it was on USA because it was during that time period where you had things like White Collar, Covert Affairs, Burn Notice, like all of those really, really solid USA shows. And this was like that, but it was even better. It had a
very similar vibe.
A little touch of like Ocean's 11, the kind of the heist sort of thing, but without like all of the A-list distractions. It was a group of 5 people. The main guy was a former insurance adjuster. Then you had a grifter, you had the muscle, a hacker, and like a cat burglar. And they came together to help people who are in need, who are being screwed over by predominantly white collar crimes. It's like this stuff that kind of flies under the radar that you can't just go sue somebody for or arrest them for. And so they would go in and
it's like, yeah. And the white collar crime thing is spot on. So it's like if you had the A-Team in a white collar crime type of thing. So it was more cerebral than the A-Team because the A-Team was solely, blunt instruments, but, yeah, like this, it was really creative. The writing was fantastic. Because it ran for so long, you had great character development out of it. It was really
and here's
good.
The other thing
Great
too.
Series.
It never tapered off in the quality over the run of the show. You always get some episodes better than others in any show, but typically by like the third or fourth season, the writers are kind of like, well, what do we do now? That never happened with this show. And it was still primarily episodic, but then there was still kind of like each season had one story that kind of ran through the season as well. It had a good ending to it, and it still holds up. So go watch it if you can find it somewhere. It's probably on TNT streaming service and a bunch of other places. I bring it up because Friday, IMDb TV, as part of their big launch, has brought back Leverage. It's a new series called Leverage Redemption. They brought back all of the characters except Timothy Hutton's character, who was the guy that led the previous group.
Yeah, which is too bad because like he's the central.
Yeah,
he was great.
The glue. He was. Yeah. But the rest of the team were still solid enough that like it doesn't hurt them. It doesn't hurt the show. They did bring in a new character, not really to take his place because this is still kind of the new guy, but they brought in a corporate lawyer played by Noah Wyle. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's kind of a role I've never really seen him in before. He fits the role well. I've watched, I think, the first 3 or 4 episodes. I binged them yesterday. Just as good as the first one. I mean, it's a lot of you've got to get used to not having Timothy Hutton there, and you do have a couple of new characters to introduce, and you've got the other characters who are kind of like the grifter character. I forget her character's name. Sophie. She's kind of like, do I really want to get back into this again? But like everybody just falls right back into their characters again, and the writing is still good. Go see the original. It holds up. For real, it holds up. And it's a kind of a comfort show too, because it's got good action, really good character development, good acting, etc. But you feel good at the end of each episode because like the good guys win, and you don't get that a lot in television today. Not that it doesn't have some darker moments. I mean, these are definitely flawed heroes. But with all the crap going on in the world, I forgot how good it feels to watch that show. And this one also has that kind of feeling to it. So like I said, I'm about 3 episodes in, and it's kind of like resettling and falling back into that flow. I think that the episodes have gotten better as they've gone on, and I'm thrilled. Now it's going to be a shorter season. One place I saw a YouTube video from like last year talking about it, and they said 13 episodes. There are 8 episodes that are posted right now. I don't know if that's going to be the entirety of it or not.
IMDb shows 13 episodes for
thank goodness,
what the characters have done. Okay. So I guess that's the whole first season.
So again, this is going to be for IMDb TV, but if you have Amazon Prime Video, an ad-supported version of that is included. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch this right now. Cool. Now, yeah, you have ads. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. The show's good enough. I'll put up with the freaking ads for real. Like, don't care. It's a solid show. Watch it.
Cool. Okay. Good.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much all I've got.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about this because I saw the ad for that, and the ad for this looked amazing. I mean, the trailer for the series. I'm like, okay, if the show is like this, it feels like the original show did, and I'm looking forward to watching it. So I'm glad to hear you talk about it.
It's hard for me because I don't want to overhype it, and yet it's really hard not to get excited about it because I'm really freaking excited about it. I loved the first series so much, and I will say that it's going to take an episode or 2 for you to feel like they've kind of found like their footing again, but not long. Like for the most part, the characters are right back in the roles again, but the story is that they're kind of like getting that group feeling again. So it's part of the story. It's not the writing, it's not the acting and stuff. The story is kind of them like doing the group again, kind of finding that. Awesome. It's if you like the first series, you will like this one, period. It's like a continuation just without Timothy Hutton's character, and kind of also a little more updated. Like time has passed and they kind of cover like where people are at now, and where the organization is at now. Yeah, there are some changes that fit the story well, and it's interesting to see those played out.
Cool.
So
Good recommendation.
You know, the cool thing about this show too is that none of the characters are like really A-list names that, oh, I've seen them in a ton of things.
right.
But they're all solid actors that do just a great job with their roles, and you really believe it what they are. So
Like every single one of you pick any one of the characters and I could go off about how good they are in their role and how I couldn't imagine anybody else in that role. Like every single one of them, I'm like perfectly cast. Don't ever recast that character. There could never have been another person as that character. Like Elliot, for example, the muscle. Like he's got that look where it's like you don't want to mess with him, but then he also handles the scenes where he's got to like be a real person so well. Like he's got that perfect blend as an actor, and it shows. Like these actors are incredible.
So we're going to tie this entire episode together right here.
okay.
From Fetmatic, Aldous Hodge, who is in Leverage, has an older brother that's in Tomorrow War.
I did not know that.
Boom. That's it. Episode is over.
Really awesome.
Oh, I could go on about Aldous Hodge for a while.
No, we're done. We have another show to get to.
He was in Straight Outta Compton.
Okay.
Yeah, he was phenomenal in that too. But yeah, we do have another show we got to go do. We have to go talk about some Marvel movie that just came out this weekend or something about spiders. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Random Chatter. Thank you for hanging out with us, especially those in the chat room. And I forgot to thank Fetmatic for correcting Tim earlier on in the episode. I always love it when someone corrects Tim in the chat room. If you would like to correct Tim in the chat room, come to our live shows, randomchatter.com/YouTube or youtube.com/randomchatter. Hit the subscribe and like button. You can hit the bell button to get notifications of when we go live or when we post new episodes. And you too can participate in the live chat. So
my secret is that I say things that are intentionally wrong, so then people have an opportunity to correct me. It's part of how I engage the audience.
Wow, you do it so seamlessly. I never would have guessed that.
I can't even accuse him of lying on that one. That's true. And we do like to engage our audience. So please, if you want to come check out our live shows and hang out in the chat room, participate. We'll try to answer back as much as we can. Sometimes we chat back in the chat room itself too. And then also we hang out on the Escape Hatch Discord server. So a quick way to get the link to that, if you go to randomchatter.com/escapehatch, you can join the Discord server there. That'll get you an invite link. And don't forget to go to randomchatter.com/store where you can pick up merchandise with branding from various Random Chatter shows on the network. That is going to do it for this episode. Be sure to check out episode number 350 where we talk about Black Widow. For those of you watching us live, stick around. We'll be back in about 5 minutes coming at you with that. All right. So that's it. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again soon.